Alright, another draft physics video presentation. Okay, this is going to be basically a junk video, so watch it at your own risk. It's just a matter of record. The argument is pretty much that all of these naysayers to what I'm saying, they have no valid arguments. They can provide no good evidence of debunking or disputing a single point I've made. They don't address any of the overt paradoxes. You know, the one with the gravity argument. You know, you throw two things in with the same force and they land with exactly the same force. The fact that one goes 4 times higher doesn't matter if it's twice as light as the other object. It's the same momentum, the same force through them, the same force will be the result of their landing. And the kinetic energy formula doesn't make any sense because it says the two things have different energies while they're in the air. How can they have different energies and then land with exactly the same amount of energy? And it's demonstrable with pendulum swings. I mean, everybody knows the pendulum swings. It comes down, it reaches its maximum velocity, and then it loses its velocity and then gains its velocity back again. It always has the same velocity at the bottom. Discounting for air resistance and a little bit of friction. There's no way around it. Clearly, things don't gain and lose energy in the sense that whatever their momentum is their energy, and that's the simple truth. And all this bullshit about somehow something has half as much energy or twice as much energy because it's going faster or slower can't be demonstrated with any experiment ever done, period. Any good one. Like I said, there's no evidence of it. It doesn't exist on the internet. You can't find the experiment where the extra energy is collected or the lost energy is actually shown to be lost. So now I've already shown the examples. It's irrefutable by a rational person. And now these irrational people will all just keep saying it. And which just demonstrates what? That they're all sheeple, right? I mean, the human race is just a bunch of sheeple. They just follow flags. And it doesn't matter right or wrong, doesn't matter. My flag can't do anything wrong. I'll defend it no matter what. I don't care. Rape, pillage, it doesn't matter. I mean, isn't that all you're just showing? And that these are supposed to be people who are intelligent and care about the truth. And clearly they give it no regard at all. They don't care about the truth, and they will impugn and trash other people's character because they don't salute this stupid flag. A really dumb flag. Really dumb ideas. And so it's just for the sake of understanding that this argument should be so far advanced. We should be much further along in a discussion about the real physics. And instead it's all slowed down by these noisemakers. And it's just a sad fact of life on Earth. It just proves the point that there's nothing about these things worth preserving. Humans really are shitty organisms. Big talkers, little walkers. Anyway, praise to Puro for what? Just overtly saying something completely idiotic. The same compressed spring creates different momentums. I showed in the Professor Lewin video that's not true. Most physicists won't say that happens. I mean, it's just a fact, okay? If I survey most physicists will get the answer right. That the same compression of a spring creates the same momentum. They'll even say things like momentum is always conserved. That is, you can't use it twice, okay? You can't heat something and make it move. You can't do, all this kind of stuff. Heat always comes last. That's always the last product. Okay, so something can hit a bowling pin, and then the bowling pin can create heat. So, that kind of thing can happen. All the momentum is usually converted one way or another into heat eventually. Anyway. So, I mean, there's no explanation for what Puro did. He didn't address any of the thought experiments or the overt physical experiments and explain why what happens. Nothing. So anyway, for the explanations, there was no explanation in this video. Why would you praise him for a non-explanation? here, which are helping me understand the results I've been getting from about a dozen experiments. So instead of doing one experiment well, he does a dozen experiments badly. That's his strategy. Apparently. I can't wait to upload with loud modern music to annoy the cunt, I guess. So he's not brave enough to say the word, I suppose, right? So this is the guy who's the big feminist, save the women from my horrible abuse, right? And he puts porn images in his videos and calls them cunts. Right. Yeah, sure. Yeah, he's sincere. Yeah. All right. I mean, just amazing. And then he uses the word hypocrite shortly after you're, using the word cunt. He uses the word hypocrite. I mean, too funny, right? Yeah, too funny. Out of our resident hypocrite and fossil, and he calls me a fossil. I think I'm actually older than he is. So go take a look at him. See who looks more like a fossil. I mean, just hilarious again. And the word hypocrite right before that. Like, what a clueless lunatic. You shouldn't be talking, Steve, about anybody else's appearance. Okay? You're not going to win doing that. Okay, Lord Gary D. Gobshit, whatever this is. That's that whole English thing. Gobshit. That's important to them. Oh, amazing. Anyway, so, okay. I mean, we really have to move along because there's just so much of this. I have a theory, LOL. I probably shouldn't even bother with this because it's just one of his. He likes to make up little fairy stories to entertain himself, and they're all not funny. It's like his songs he writes suck. He's really bad at it. He's really bad at poetry. He's really bad at being at all lyrical or entertaining. Anyway, that Gary saw a stage hypnotist 50 years ago who had him counting 12 fingers and claiming to be greater than Einstein. So I don't even know what that means. I mean, Einstein is what, rock in German or something? It's like, it's supposed to be dumbass or something, right? Anyway, then the hypocrite was called away, the hypnotist was called away to some emergency. His wife still there. She was a chicken or something. Well, this is, this is what he entertains himself with. And so you have people like this, this fucking, out of any kind of reasonable picture, commenting on physics videos. Just sort of destroys the whole process. These noisemakers. Anyway, and poor Gary was left convinced for the rest of his life that every dumb idea he had was deserving of a Nobel Prize. So again, they haven't proven any of these ideas to be dumb. And I have essentially established pretty convincing evidence that their ideas are in fact really dumb. Okay, that it was really dumb. The whole invention of mv squared was a religious idea at first, and then it was just a silly idea, promoted by people who weren't very good physicists. Just a fact. They weren't scientists, okay? They were just fancy rich people who like to pretend to be scientists. And it survived into the future, okay? But it was just a mistake. Just like getting plus and minus wrong, it's a mistake. They never fix it. And they don't like fixing anything. They don't like admitting they made a mistake. But this was just a huge, giant, stupid mistake. And every piece of evidence indicates that all it is. And you haven't produced one piece of evidence on the internet demonstrating it's anything other than a stupid mistake. So why don't you just show a professional bowler using a 10-pound bowling ball and doing fucking great with it. Winning. Because he's knocking down more pins. Because he has, the 40% more energy. Why don't you show that? It's not even 40. I mean, a 10-pound ball would be actually 75%. Knocking down 5% more pins with the lighter bowling ball. It never happens in reality. It never has happened ever. So why don't you take that in and say, gee, maybe I ought to pause before I defend something that's really stupid. Before I call somebody stupid for pointing out how it's stupid, maybe you ought to be sure your idea isn't the stupid one. And have you made sure? No. You did some experiments with very unconvincing results. You know, and the most, like I said, the best experiment was the most convincing, and it was 100% saying I'm right and you're wrong. And you couldn't even do that responsibly. You had to write some kind of crap, Gary's cheat over it. How the fuck did I cheat the experiment? Oh, that's right, I didn't. I mean, just amazing horseshit. All right. After tenuous going through every line of the transcript, so that's all these people do, is they look for things to quote mine. The videos are really easy, okay? There's 3 videos and 3 subjects. They're mostly accurate, okay, outside of little semantic errors, where I say proton instead of a neutron or something. You know, the points are clear. I've drawn the simple scenario, okay, with the carts, you know, and the you know, the train example is really simple. I mean, an idiot can understand it. You know, and clearly the gravity argument, okay, 2 springs, same compression, 2 mass objects, 1 mass object. You know, this one leaves with 2x the velocity here. Okay, this one has 1 velocity here. What's too complicated for you? They say this one has twice as much energy. Do you think that's possible? Because when they come back down, they're going to compress the spring exactly the same amount. The spring, it can be calculated to have a joules of energy. The joules of energy are going to be exactly the same. How do you resolve the paradox, shithead? Is that too complicated for you? You gotta go meticulously through some kind of transcript because you can't figure out this and explain it? Just, you did the experiment. You came up with the same exact results I predicted, okay? That, yeah, it's the same energy. You collected the energy here and said, yeah, it's the same energy. Equal. You did the fucking experiment. Just explain why it didn't work, in your opinion. Your opinion is that somehow your experiment failed because you didn't get 2x energy here. Well, why don't you just explain why it didn't happen then? What failed? There's only a spring in the experiment. It's not that complicated. Just have 1 spring to account for. And 1 spring to account for. Where did your springs lie to you, idiot? I mean, fuck. Amazing. So, no, instead of doing that, instead of responding to my finished arguments, they will take advantage of the fact that I call this channel DraftScience and I make live unscripted videos. So they'll take advantage of that and try to find me making mistakes, semantic mistakes, little stupid mistakes, one-day mistakes, and that's all he's interested in. All right, so clearly not exactly what you call integrity. Not exactly good scientists. Good scientists don't do that kind of horse shit, right? They don't bother with that nonsense. They get to the real argument and argue the real argument. All right. Okay. Transcripts to Gary's absolutely hilarious excuses. Some more. What is that in capital letters for? What does that even mean? For not accepting the obvious truth. So what obvious truth was there? This ought to be interesting. That those kinetic experiments I did a few weeks ago, the exact ones he requested, which is an outrageous lie. I certainly didn't request anybody bang things into staples, for fuck's sake. I mean, that didn't happen. Even though he says even the staple ones, because he specifically said any material. Yeah, any material that you can reasonably assume collects energy accurately. It doesn't have a bias for velocity. I mean, I made that clear, right? This has been said for like 40, 50, 60 times in my videos now. The phrase bias for velocity, that phrase has been used now many dozens of times in my videos. So again, nobody reasonable or fair could misunderstand. Yeah. Yeah, don't bother doing the clay experiment. Do something better than that. Yeah. I'm also convinced he is hypnotized to think he can lie his way. No, you're the liar, and it's been proven over and over again. His way out of any situation simply by repeating, stringing together phrases like, you know, I mean, now he's picking on what? I said, too many times or something. I mean, what does this mean? What is this as an argument? These are apparently the forbidden words, you know? You know what I mean? Oh, that's forbidden. You can't say that. You can't say that. That's forbidden. No, 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 no. We have to cancel that. No, you can't do that in America or on Earth. I mean, come on. Now, you can understand. I don't say that often, but I'm just trying to plead with the audience. Come on, you can get it, right? You can, you're not too stupid, so don't tell me you're too stupid to understand, right? Say something else, but don't tell me you're too stupid to understand, because I made it so simple. Okay, and pretending he can't recognize quite obvious simple mechanical devices such as springs and levers. So again, what a pile of crap. So there was no explanation in his video about his lever. So let's just understand, the video was a music video that barely had the experiments in it, right? Most of it was just porn images and nonsense, right? So you know, as I did explain in a previous video, if you watch it a few times, you can figure out what he's doing. So he didn't say anything about how he was creating the two velocities. So he's basically going to try to move, you know, he has two objects. He has a one mass object and he has a two mass object. And the trick is, you know, how do I give this one half the velocity? Because that gives them the same momentum. So this one gets a 2 velocity, and this one gets a 1 velocity. All right. Now, obviously, you can't just push them together, right? I couldn't take a board and just push them, because then they'd have the same velocity. And so, obviously, the heavier object would have more momentum because they would have exactly the same velocity. So what he used was a lever, okay? And the principle is a little... It's not as simple as it's not that simple. So you could put a piece of wood and you could put you could create a lever. So it's longer this end than this end. So you have a pivot point here, a nail or something. Now you can move the lever. You can turn it to a new location. And the trick is that when you do that to the lever, this distance, okay, is a lot less than this distance. So the fact is, if something's on here, okay, it's going to have more velocity because it's going to travel a larger distance in the same amount of time. So here's the same amount of time, right? And this object travels this longer distance, this one travels this shorter distance. So this one has a slower velocity. Now I pointed out the obvious, that you have to get this calculation of this arc correct, or you're not going to be in the right location. And then you also have to stop the object from sliding off the lever, because that's going to change the momentum. It's going to be in the wrong direction. So there are a few things you have to do to make sure. And then, frankly, you actually have to test it. You actually have to see. You have to test it with a camera, you know, get the right frame rate, put down a scale so you can see how fast the object is moving. You know, so you can tell by, you know, judging how many, you know, this one travels 2 notches in the same time this one traveled 1 notch or something. You have to have some way to verify that you actually have the right velocities. Because if you don't get the right velocities, you're not going to have the same momentum. So yes, your results are going to be, they're going to crash into something, and they're not going to crash into it the same because one of them's going too slow or too fast. So it's not that simple. And he didn't explain any of it in his video, and that's just a fact. He didn't say what the hell he did. I'm just guessing. He made some sort of lever. I don't know whether it was on a spring. I don't know anything about it. So we don't know whether, you know, how exactly he guaranteed that this one had 1/2 the velocity of this one. No way of knowing. And then what he was throwing was crap anyway, because he's throwing coins wrapped in tape, which means they're going to create a bunch of friction. They're not going to roll on the lever. Okay, they're going to be pushed by it. And then there's going to be friction. So they're not even going to start rolling until they're free of the impediment. And then they might be skidding. And again, that's a huge disadvantage to the heavier object. If there's any friction, the heavier object's going to pay a lot higher price for it. So you really have to do whatever you have to do to reduce the amount of friction, because the heavier object's going to get eaten up by it. So he doesn't know anything about doing a scientific experiment. He doesn't care about all these, you know, there are details you have to consider, and he just couldn't care less. And that's a simple fact. Because his goal isn't to show the truth. His goal is to create propaganda videos for his religious theory. All right. The exact ones he requested. So again, I didn't request bad experiments to be done, so that's just a lie. Let's see. I'm also convinced he's okay. So I mean, Pretending he can't recognize quite obvious simple mechanical devices such as springs and levers. Right. So I just pointed out. Yeah. No, I can't. Yes, I admit. I don't know how many people How many people did you test with the video, and how many of them guessed you were using a lever? You know, you're just such. You know, this is just such petty nonsense to sit there and say I was supposed to guess that that's what you did. You didn't explain it. You didn't say it. You didn't write it. You didn't do anything to detail it at all. It was barely in the image. And you're saying everybody should have known exactly how you were doing the experiment? I mean, fuck, you really are crazy. You know, seek help. He literally, says, what are these things? That's right, I'm watching the video, I'm saying, what the fuck is it? What exactly are you doing? How was I supposed to know what you were doing? And again, you want to bet money on it? I'll play that video to random people and see if they guess right what you're doing. And you want to make a bet? You know, 1 in 10 maybe? Probably going to be more like 1 in 100 is going to get the right answer. Asshole. Alright, what are these things? Are they springs of some kind? Duh, hilarious though. So, you know, go prove that. I'm just saying, go prove that you showed that video to somebody else anonymously and they guessed right. I mean, you're just such a, you know, this is so petty. You know, to sit there, for him to be so clueless to think somebody could watch that video and immediately see he's using a lever. I mean, it's a joke that he can be this clueless. Anyway, and endless references to a stick. Yeah, that's all you see is a stick being pushed and half mass going half velocity. Huh? What a moron. He never corrects any of these obvious mistakes. The double mass goes half the velocity. So again, these are important to you. You don't get the theme already. We haven't been over it enough times that you can't autocorrect for somebody saying it backwards, like, oh, the velocity is twice as much as the mass or something. You're gonna jump on that kind of mistake. Well, then go watch some Leonard Susskind videos, because he endlessly calls protons electrons and then photons. He gets those words mixed up all over the place. So you can go have a field day, okay, and say, why aren't you correcting all these videos where he says the wrong word? Oh, the reason why they're not doing that is because these are supposed to be educated people who are watching the video, and they're really not this stupid or petty. And they can figure it out all on their own, jackass. All right, anyway. What a moron. He never corrects any of these obvious mistakes. Correct them how exactly? I'm supposed to re-edit the video? What's the auto correction you wish me to apply? And again, there's really no confusion. Nobody reasonable is confused. And then both objects supposedly having the same mass. It's not. I was quite clear about the two objects having different mass, so that's just bullshit. How the hell could that work? What? So 8 coins in one instance having the same mass as 4 in the other. Yeah, as I was watching the video, not having seen it, right? I'm watching the video and I'm trying to understand what you did in the experiment, because you don't explain what you did in the experiment, asshole. So people have to guess what the fuck all this shit is. And then even when you are explaining something, you're so fucking, you know, vocally illiterate that somebody can't possibly hear what you're saying, but you have a bunch of music playing in the background. I mean, you don't speak really clear English in the first place, and on top of that, you're playing crappy music behind it. You dumb fuck. So yeah, I had to spend some time figuring out what the fuck this idiotic experiment was. Oh, shit. I mean, that was obvious in the video. Yeah, that's right. You left it mysterious. I mean, amazing. Alright, how the hell could that work? What? So 8 coins in one instance having the same mass as 4 in the other. The point is we got the part where there's 8 and 4. And so that's how you did the two different masses. The problem is they aren't the same size object, which is really stupid. That's either magic or Gary just deliberately confusing the simplest picture. So there was no confusion. I said in the videos, lighter object, heavier object. No confusion, so just more nonsense. to give the false impression to his sports. There was no false impression given to anybody. Nobody was confused about the size of the objects and which one was the light one. The red one was the light one. The white one was the heavy one. That was clearly pointed out. No confusion. So just more bullshit that somebody was confused by something. No, they weren't. I wasn't. They weren't. All right, so that's just bullshit. They may be mostly dumb, but even Gary recognizes that if any of them see Brozo the clown proving Gary wrong yet again, the illusion of integrity has given them will disappear as fast as switching off a light. I don't even know what that means, but clearly, okay, there's no disputing the fact that your best experiment, the one that was done the best out of the bunch of them, clearly proved my prediction correct. Clearly, that was the result of your experiment, shit for brain. So that's what the audience saw, that's what I saw, and all the other ones are all unproven test methods. The spring is a reliable, tested method of collecting and producing energy. That's why Professor Lewin used one. It's because it works, okay? It can be depended on. Now, he didn't use a bunch of fucking staples because Professor Lewin doesn't have any evidence staples are a good way to measure energy. Asshole. Shit, you're just so fucking dumb. Oh, anyway. He can't let it happen, so he lies. So there was no lies in the video, so he can't prove one of these lies in the video. I didn't lie about his silly, crappy video. I played his fucking video, and I responded to it honestly. There's no fucking lies in the video. So he can't happen. He can't let that happen, so he lies about what my videos show and say. So there's absolutely no evidence that I lied about his video. The fact is I played his fucking video. That's a fact. Okay? And it shows exactly what I stated it shows. He does about 4 experiments. 3 of them are pretty shitty in terms of their results aren't even obviously twice as much energy anyway. Certainly isn't proven. And the one that has an actual ruler in it and that is filmed better than the others clearly demonstrates me correct. Okay, and what anyone, including Piro, is saying here. So I mean, there's nothing in the video that demonstrates anything Piro said to be correct. So that's just horse shit. So just keep lying, Steve. Again, his lever, he never even established the velocity that his lever is producing. How can anybody trust an experiment where he just says, well, except that this is going twice as slow? I mean, you know, that the heavy object is going half the speed. Trust me, I did it right. No, any evidence that he did it right? No. I mean, who in the science community would accept an experiment done that way? Where I don't have to show you that I have these speeds correct. You just trust me. Yeah, no. You can't do that in science, asshole. I do confess the music in my recent was primarily there to annoy him. So now he's just making up silly talk, right? Because he thinks this is his creativity. You know, his music choices and his little porn images, that was all part of his creative mood. So, it had nothing to do with annoying me. It's something he likes to do. All right, and he sometimes, in some weird way in his brain, he thinks people who are interested in like reading the New York Times and, getting to the facts and read science magazines, that those kind of people want this fluffy bullshit in the middle of their video. So he actually thinks people interested in science want science videos with music in the background. I don't think so. I bet you if you did a survey, they would say, no, please, spare me. Yeah. Anyway, and boy, did it work. No, it only adds to, again, how dysfunctional your video is as a piece of science. It only gives me more evidence to say, look at this hunk of shit. It's Brozo the clown. Right? Yeah. Anyway, I guess the only music B might tolerate would be from Newton's era, Greensleeves. It would have been better than your choices, frankly. But frankly, no, I don't see any point in music played over commentary that you're supposed to be able to understand. You're supposed to be listening because there's content in the words. It's not opera, okay? We're not singing it. This is, there's no value to the music except to detract from the performance. Okay, I will work on heavy metal version perhaps. Well, just illustrating how you just don't care about having any integrity as somebody who's offering a counter argument, and that science really should just be ridiculous. That buffoony loonies who can't do anything serious are right, without without doing it in some filthy way. Okay, you can't do anything precise or accurate, and you want it to be called science when it doesn't have two of the most necessary ingredients: precision and accuracy. The more it annoys him, the better. Well, the more you make an ass out of yourself, I say the better. So yes, keep presuming the audience to be dumber than you, which is really dumb. If he had any brains, he wouldn't let his annoyance show when he would feel deflated. So again, where's my annoyance except in the fact that it makes the video unwatchable? Beyond it just being a waste of time. It's like somebody talking when you're reading a book. What the fuck would be the point of that? Does that work for you, retard? So, I mean, do you really think if we go out and ask most people if they want somebody talking while they're trying to read a book, that would work for them too? They would answer the question, yes, it makes it so much more enjoyable. I don't think so, asshole. So, again, you think you're going to win the argument. I think I'm going to win that argument. That most of the people who saw the video would have preferred the video without the antics. That's how dopey he is. Not how dopey you are. Alright, he also lied. That's just bullshit while I'm here. So this is in Piro's comment section. So I wonder if Piro will say anything like, you really shouldn't be calling people liars in my comment section. It makes me look bad. He won't say that though. That I'm supposed to have canceled. He also lied that I am supposed to have canceled. Conceded. That the Ripple Tank experiment that Piro and others posted some years ago was fake. So who else posted it? That would be interesting. I'm sorry, I didn't know somebody else was going to put their, make themselves look like an asshole. You conceded that if you do the experiment right, there's no such diffraction. That's what you had said in the exact words. Well, if you do the experiment without the aggravated waves, there is no diffraction, right? So if you use plain waves going in without any noise, without any interference going in, you don't get any interference out. That's what you conceded, shithead. I mean, so you're obviously the liar now, pretending that's not exactly what you said. That yes, Gary was right, that if you have plain waves, there is no diffraction. That's exactly what you said. I mean, you know it. That's exactly the intent you meant to imply. So why what are you pretending here for? This is all public record. Your comment was a public comment. You stated it, shithead. You can't take it back and say you didn't say it. I mean, that's just fucking preposterous. You did say it. Oh, man, you're just such a dishonest little putz. Anyway, was also fake and intended to deceive. I didn't say you said any of that. I just said you conceded that, that's not the Ripple Tank experiment. It's not doing the experiment right. So apparently now he thinks it is. Okay, here we go. I have never said any such thing and never would. So he did say such a thing. So again, his exact words I don't have, but the phrase was pretty much, Gary was right. Plane waves don't create diffraction. Okay. Because I do not believe any such thing. Okay, so he thinks it's okay to present an experiment where you break overtly the controls. That is, you change the basic elements of the experiment. So you're doing the experiment up a hill for car A, and then you do for car B you do it downhill, and then you say car B is a better car because it gets much better gas mileage. So you break the experiment so dramatically and then claim it has some sort of value. And you don't call that deception. Well, I do call it deception. I think most people surveyed, most physics students, let's say high school kids even, we surveyed them about what makes a good experiment. They would say that's what makes a bad experiment. Okay, changing the controls to change the outcome, they'd say, yeah, that's a really bad experiment. They know that would be cheating. And apparently you can't figure it out. All right, anyway. It's actually a very impressive demonstration. So it's impressive somehow. They could do exactly the same thing to the double slit. They could put noise into the double slit and get even more little bar pattern. That proves that that's what light does? No, because you've already broken the frequency and the phase. So, yeah, you'll get bright and dark spots all over the place. It's not wave interference. It's not any of that stuff. You put noise in, you got noise out. So he thinks that's a good experiment. Amazing. Of water waves creating a single slit pattern. So again, that's not the pattern it created, by the way, but whatever. Better than my own attempt to recreate it in a cheap Philip Harris ripple tank. Well, I mean, it's not that complicated, right? Ripples in water. I mean, frankly, how cheap the tank is doesn't really have much to do with it. They're ripples in water. Not that hard to do. Okay, which Gary can't afford, of course. I wouldn't even bother trying to afford it, frankly. I already know light isn't water. Okay, I know it's not traveling through water. I already know wave theory doesn't work. Okay, it doesn't mathematically work. It doesn't make any sense, and I've already pointed that out. Because the waves aren't made on the surfaces. Water waves don't happen on surfaces. The water waves happen in the middle of the opening. And that doesn't mathematically match the photon pattern at all. So I already know it doesn't work. All right, Gary can't afford, of course, not with so many commitments to betting on rigged experiments. So again, what's the rigged experiment? So please, just explain what a rigged experiment is. I mean, just, could you direct me to the rigged experiments, please? Is Professor Lewin doing a rigged experiment? Could you show me the rigged experiment you're talking about? And trying to bribe people into letting him talk on their channel. And what would be wrong with that? The point is I would be talking exactly the opposite of their opinion, and they would have every opportunity to point out how I was wrong. So how does the audience lose in that circumstance? See, you don't want the conversation because you're afraid you'll lose it. You're trying to silence me. You're trying to prevent me from making arguments because you can't make any counter arguments. Because you lose the argument. And that's all this is about. You're a fanatic, okay, defending absolute shit. And it just makes you evil, frankly. All right. No, Gary is exploiting what I actually said and exaggerating it beyond all recognition. So lie again. There's no exaggeration. It's quite obviously Piro presented the evidence as if it had some sort of scientific integrity, when it obviously had no integrity. The noise in phenomenon was obvious. The fact that the waves weren't plain waves going in was obvious. Anyone could see it. Come on. You can't make this excuse he didn't notice that defect in the experiment. Bullshit, he didn't notice. I wouldn't mind, but he hasn't even seen my experiment yet. And why would I care? Again, I never suggested anybody do water experiments. The pattern isn't even made the same way. The water's going up and down. Okay, it's not even permanently on and permanently off. I mean, it's not the same experiment. It doesn't even make the same pattern. So why is anybody even talking about it? Because it's not the same. It's all you idiots who think, there's an ether and the ether is wobbling. That's your nonsense. All right, so now I'm going to have to upload it just to clarify to everyone. Yes, please do upload. I told you before, please, more videos by you just proves how incredible you are and what a troll you are. So keep them coming, please. It must be the first experiment of mine that Gary, surprise, surprise, now thrusts. I don't even know what that means. Even trashes, maybe. Trusts? I don't know. Trusts? What? Anyway, thrashes? I don't know. Without even seeing it. What do I need to see it for? And why? How did I trash it? I said, yeah, you're right. That's right. If you do nice plane waves into a single slit, water waves, nice plane waves into a single slit, you just get a nice little one wave coming out. No wave interference. So how did I trash it? Oh, that's right, I didn't. Oh, God. What a coincidence that it just happens to be the one that suits his purpose. So just a minute ago, he says, no, I was wrong. It doesn't suit my purpose. Somehow he's defending it as, no, it proves Pirro is honorable and decent. And now he's saying it serves my purpose. You get the duplicity here? Even in his own 3 paragraphs, he goes from saying, I have mischaracterized the circumstance. No, my experiment proves Pirro has integrity. And then he's basically conceding, no, your experiment proves I'm right again. And it proves Pirro doesn't have integrity. I mean, it's just too stupid. God, this goes on forever. What I actually said was that so far, and it's in the early days, I don't even know what this means. He can't keep obsessing about this, right? This is such old news. I mean, Pirro did this like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. When he's pushed for evidence, he goes looking on the internet, he finds any piece of shit he can find and then shoves it in your face and says, there's evidence. He doesn't even barely look at anything. He doesn't care about any of this shit or the details or the facts. He has no interest. He'll just waste your time with nonsense. Okay, what I actually said was that so far, and it's in the early days, could not do with being repeated better. So he didn't say anything like this in his comments. In his comments, he just said Gary was right, that yes, the plane waves in the single slit water wave experiment don't create diffraction. That's what he simply said. All right, I found that when some care is taken to avoid excessive agitation of the water behind the slit wall, the single slit pattern does not seem to vanish. So I don't even know what that even means. The pattern doesn't seem to vanish. So that's not exactly the opposite of what he said in his comment. Okay, so there's what are you going to say? He's just making shit up now. But we all know Gary's caution. Seems like, looks like. So obviously Gary, with the massive integrity, wouldn't read too much into a hasty dose of experiment that he never even seen. So that wasn't your comment. Okay, I read your comment on somebody's video. You clearly stated that the wave tank experiment Pirro did was sort of bullshit. That was the clear indication you gave in the comment. So you want to rewrite history again. You've done it before. Go ahead. But you're a liar. Okay, but that's not what your comment implied. It's not what your comment said. None of this crap was in your comment that, I don't really trust my own experiment. And, it still looked the same. Even when I did plane waves, it still had all kinds of pattern in it. You didn't say any of that shit in your comment, liar. So just prove yourself a liar some more. Okay, that's enough said. Would be. Actually, I'm forgetting who it is we're talking about. It's Mr. Hypocrite himself. I'm forgetting those rules don't apply to him. They never do. None of them, ever. What rules again? I read your comment on somebody else's in the comments section stating the exact words, shithead. I mean, the exact phrase was pretty much Pirro's experiment was bullshit. You're going to deny it? Okay. That's nothing I can do about you being a liar, but that's what happened, shithead. By the way, can anyone guess what Gary will see when he inevitably finds this rather long comment? What Gary sees. I see a bunch of capital letters for no good reason. Yeah, I see a lunatic brain. Just an absolute lunatic brain. You're so fucking lost in your hate. The fact that I have done better than you, I've one-upped you, and you're such a bad loser. You can't just gracefully walk away, You have to do this stone-throwing bullshit. You have to drive by at night and throw eggs at my house. I mean, you're a petty, small, tiny little weasel of a human being. And that's all you're demonstrating for posterity. Like I said, this will be read in the future. This video will be watched in the future. And it'll just be an example warning the future that, shit, we got to fix this place because this is just horseshit. That people have to go through all this crap just to say something like, prove it, show me. These are words people aren't allowed to use. You know, you're making these assertions about what the truth is. Well, can you defend them with some reasoning or some evidence? And where's your reasoning and evidence, shithead? You don't have any of that. All you have is some retarded effort to do mockery. Fuck. You stupid petty loser. Yes, that's right, folks. He will see a cheap video opportunity. So again, this is a cheap video opportunity on my part. Having to waste my time defending myself against a lying little sack of shit weasel. Another fucking lying troll. Alright, who wishes to pretend, you know, that they're somehow defending something glorious when no, they're just defending lost and beaten arguments. You can't win the argument in any stand-up, grown-up, manly way. All you can do is key my car. That's all you got. I mean, you're so fucking lame. No doubt titled something along the lines of Brozo. Yeah, so yeah, it fits because he's too dumb to know how to pronounce bro after 4 years. So let's just pretend. Okay, so Steven says his bro. I thought the name was like, first I was like bro, Burrow, you know, but yeah, I mean, just you know, you people get me here, right? I've been saying Stephen Bro since I've known Stephen Bro, right? And not until now, he's making the big announcement that my real name is. I mean, isn't that hilarious? I mean, who can take that seriously? So do you really think he told me his name was something different, and he just waited till like 4 years later to say, no, my real name is. I mean, that's hilarious, isn't it? Yes, it is. And after 4 years, still thinks it rhymes with beau. I don't think it rhymes with anything but loser and asshole, but whatever. No, it actually rhymes with rough. Okay, so this is his argument, that his name is Broughy. So all this time, even when Holiday was alive, Stephen Bro was his name, and now he's decided, no, my name's Stephen Broughy. Yeah, okay. I mean, it's too funny. Hence my nickname used to be Scruffy Broughy. Well, I'm going to make it Duffy Broughy, because that's all you are, is a duffer. Okay, you just can't get out of the sand trap. You know, you suck. You know, at everything, including golf, no doubt. Which he is free to use if he amuses him as much as it amuses 10-year-olds. Well, again, you're the one who gets off on this stuff. You're the games you play. DraftScience and all that kind of horse shit. I mean, I didn't start this crap, asshole. You did. So I'm just giving you back your shit, fuckhead. I'm just giving you a tiny bit of it. I'm not going to waste any time making photoshopped, you know, musical opuses, you know, spinning your ugly dead face around in circles. I'm not going to waste any time with that shit. All right. So it should appeal to his supporters. No, there's no indication my supporters have any interest in you at all. The only reason I'm doing this video is I find you really personally offensive. I don't like liars, okay? And you're a despicable, awful, horrible liar. You do shitty science experiments. You make shitty claims that you've proven something when you haven't proven it. You're just a despicably awful human being. All right. A recent Gary failing to bother showing people like me. I resent Gary failing to bother to show people like me in the early days of me thinking he had a clue what he was talking about. So again, the videos are public and they are what they are. And I don't retract anything. And the fact is, you know, except when I make an honest mistake, there's what's in those videos. I'm arguing about the fact that the theory of mushy bent space doesn't make sense. And I'm making the argument that their theory of photons is imbecilic and silly. photons split in two, and then they're superimposed, and then they're entangled. And I've made real arguments about why none of that makes any sense. Do you believe things can be entangled? Do you believe that they're never seen while they're entangled? They're not interacting with gravity? Gravity isn't interacting with them while they're doing their entanglement thing? I mean, it doesn't make any logical sense. It's paradoxical nonsense, and that's what all those videos are about. And you don't like it. Why? What's your problem with those videos? Anyway, those videos of ripple tanks making the single slit pattern, because he reassured us that the water waves could not do that. So this is more nonsense. I never made any statement they can't do that. What I said is that you can't do the experiment that way. Just like you can't do the laser experiment by flashing the lasers or something. You can't, put them on a laser disco ball or something. You can't fuck the light up and then say, look, there's interference. I mean, if I was doing the radar experiment, I can't put 93 different frequencies into the radar guns and then say I'm doing the right experiment. No, that's what I said. So you're just a compulsive liar. Okay, it came out. It came as a shock 3 years later when to find out he had given links to these experiments. Given links to who? And given links anywhere besides what? In my own videos, in the public videos. So he's saying I did something secretly when they're in public videos? I mean, how insane are you? Yeah. Anyway, I conceded I had never bothered looking for them because I trusted Gary. So again, what are you talking about? Show me these links. Show me this stuff that means something to you, that somehow is a meaningful argument. I literally went to these things in my videos. It was actually an MIT that filmed it. So they just kept going with higher and higher frequencies in the wave tank. And as you can probably imagine, there's a point when the frequency is higher than the carrying speed of the water. That is, the waves are moving, the frequency is faster than the movement of the water. And so now the waves are just piling up on each other. And so all you get is noise. You get a bunch of noise frequency. And now because you are putting so much agitation into the water, you're getting a bunch of noise from the backboard and from the sides. So the whole tank gets full of water noise, like a swimming pool. There's waves going everywhere. And obviously that wouldn't be what you would call an appropriate source to do a clinical experiment about whether there's going to be wave diffraction after the waves go through the slit. I mean, obviously that's noise in, noise out. That's what I called it then. That's what it is. There's no deception of any kind. And this is just such a fucking lie, again. He lied. And I didn't lie about anything. This is just a complete lie again by him. It's just despicable that people can get away with this fucking bullshit. He didn't trust his viewers to make up their own minds. That's just a lie. I made no private or secret video on this subject. I never hid any truth from my viewers. Just a preposterous lie. And he puts it in fucking bold type. You will never prove any such thing, you fucking lying little weasel. Oh, you're such a weasel. So he says he's such a little dictator. How to dictate anything. Anybody who, look, obviously I don't have to explain this to anybody honest, right? The basic, what they see is what they're getting, right? There's no secret agenda in any of these videos. There's no deception. There's no distortion. I mean, it's just a preposterous accusation based on zero evidence by a little lying piece of shit. Yeah. So anyway, nice explanation here, Piro. So he's relating it somehow to Piro's video, which is so funny. So he went on this whole pile of shit commentary, okay, making all kinds of assertions for which he has no evidence, and then gets around to talking about Piro's video. I have some questions you might be able to explain regarding the difference between my experiments. So again, he thinks his experiments actually have some integrity when they were precisely what you don't want in experiments, which is the experiments conflicted each other completely. Completely contradictory results from the different experiments. Projecting objects upward, in some cases sideways, along a pool table, and others. So you're better off upwards, but you didn't really project them upwards. You tied them to a string that went across two pulleys. That's a little bit different, idiot. Yeah. Sliding along the brace, conducting all Gary's predictions. Contradicting all Gary's. Sliding along the brace. I don't know what that is. Contradicting all Gary's prediction. So that didn't happen. So that's just a lie. Because we know the best experiment completely verified my predictions. Okay, regarding friction, very little difference in distance traveled between two different masses. I don't know what that means, but there's no way for anybody rational to know what he means by that. Where did you show it in the video? Did you show how there's very little difference in between the masses? The heavy mass doesn't have more friction? Did you show us that happening? That would be another piece of magical new physics you invent. Okay, when you show that heavier things don't incur more friction, that'll be one of your showing us new physics. And also, similar experiments projecting items off a platform, a lever. All of them used a lever except for the one where you used the spring. All going to the exact same height. That wasn't what was demonstrated at all, right? Because he had two different masses. So the whole point he was trying to prove was that one did have more energy. If they all went to the same exact height, how would that prove they have different energies? Yeah, that wouldn't do that, Steve. So I guess you made a mistake and you typed that wrong, idiot. Yeah, okay. Even with a 25-to-1 ratio of masses. So he didn't do any such experiment. So I don't even know what the fuck he's talking about. I won't post links here unless requested when those videos are uploaded anyway. Quite busy with many more debunking the long-haired, arrogant, fibbing, fossilized hypocrite. So, yeah, whatever. History will bury you appropriately, okay, with the appropriate pile of, you'll be in the appropriate pile of shit, okay? So just keep earning your epitaph, and it's not going to be a good one, Steve. It's just not. All right. So your ugly, smelly, rotten, putrefying corpse will get what you deserve. What you deserve now, you're not going to get. But your reputation will get it. All right. What a pile of crap. Yeah, so anyway, Piro responded to some integrity horse shit with some kind of, this is just such tripe. That's an unanswerable question in the absolute, but I personally believe it does have value. The moral question isn't really how to make other people do the right thing. So Piro isn't about doing any right things ever. He's about cutting a corner whenever he fucking can. The real moral question we actually face is how can we do the right thing? And it's practical. How can we do the right thing and it's practical? We do the right thing and the right thing just happens to always be we get more. Yeah, isn't that great? When young, sometimes we feel bad about what we did. Yeah, you don't even feel bad about it now. So, you don't take any responsibility for your fucking molestations. Having personal integrity helps you not feel bad. So he thinks integrity makes you not feel bad. I mean, isn't that just exactly the opposite? That if you have integrity, even your accidents, there really weren't accidents. That the fact is you could have done a better job and you just didn't do it. Because it wasn't to your advantage. And that's what having integrity is. Integrity is admitting you suck. And he can't do that. Because then he won't feel good about himself. Alright. About what you've done and that shit will otherwise pile up on you. So, yeah. Because you're such a sloppy person in how you live and think, Okay, that will happen to you. That's right. You'll just keep walking into shit. And you'll keep dropping other people in shit because you're a reckless slob who doesn't believe in anything real. Yeah, except what's in it for you. So yeah, get what you deserve. All right. Anyway, enough of a video. More than enough. So anyway, I'll make no apologies. I warned you in the beginning that this was just going to be crap. And again, it's partly just because, you know, I have a right to defend myself. You know, I mean, and what are you going to do? There's really no other choice. Because if you don't say anything, then they can just keep doing it and get away with it. And they will keep doing it and getting away with it. And people will see this stuff and somebody might believe some words here. And, you know, that's just, that's real damage. And these assholes are taking no responsibility for the real damage they do with their lies. And it's just, it's a real defect in our civilization that, you know, they should probably bring back dueling, you know. Like maybe even a government-sanctioned duel, you know, where there's an arbiter, you know, of 10 good men, all right, and they decide who's innocent and who's guilty, and then they shoot one of us, you know, because yeah, I would risk it, okay, because yeah, I think you can find some good people that really do care about doing the right thing and the truth, and they're not going to buy Steve's lies. All right, till the next time and such.